Hey traders, welcome back to the FXT YouTube channel. Hope everyone is good today. As of now, we haven't had any significant pullbacks. Could we see EU come down even lower? Anyways, let's get into the analysis and look for some potential setups for today. Okay, starting with the news. If we look at the events that we have today, I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of volatility today. We start with retail sales 2 hours after London Open, and this is for Europe. We do have Williams from the FOMC speaking today, 1 hour after New York Open, but not sure this one's going to cause too much movement. The one that probably will trigger some movement is final services PMI, job openings for USD, and then ISM services PMI, which is 2 hours after New York Open. And then the one that's really gonna move the markets is the FOMC meeting minutes. As we haven't seen so much movement as of yet in terms of pullbacks, my guess is we'll probably have a significant one today. But again, it's not going to be for Europe session. It's going to be for the New York session, and maybe even late in the evening. On to DXY. So what I was saying is we haven't seen really much significant movement in terms of pullbacks up to now. Price did come back down a little. Well, actually it pushed up quite a bit more since the last video, and then eventually it did start to do somewhat of a pullback, but as of right now it's starting to come back up a little and looks like it wants to test the highs. If you look at the 15-minute, so late in New York we started to pull back. During Asia we came down a little further, but towards the end of Asia session, getting close to London session, we're starting to come back up and test the highs. So what I'd be looking for here, I'd like to see a break of these highs. If we get a break of these highs, then the first thing I'll look for is to see if we can get some kind of a pullback to retest demand, and then after that see if we can get a further push to the upside. But at the same time potentially we could also have a test of this supply here, reaction off of it, a break of the lows, and then if we get a break at this low, then I'd be looking for either maybe creation of some kind of flip zone just above the lows, or maybe a deeper test into the extreme to come down and reverse for a bigger pullback. But in terms of likelihood, seeing how the way the price is pushing up right now, I'm thinking we're more likely to see a break of the highs and see DXY come up a little higher and EU come up a little lower. And finally on to EU. So again, after the last video we pushed down a little lower. After pushing down lower we got somewhat of a pullback, but I mean if you look at the overall scheme of things, it's really not a big pullback at all. What I was watching for is these two areas, one of them to break. Difficult to see on the 4 hour, so let me go down a little lower to the 15-minute time frame. So on the 15-minute time frame, again, I believe we were somewhere in this area for the last video. Yeah, it was right before New York Open. So as you can see, we were just doing some consolidation, and then eventually we broke this low, came down a little lower, and then after coming down lower, we created some sort of a support here. And as you can see, we had the push off from the lows, somewhat of a fake out, break again at the lows, and then after that started a pullback, testing this supply up here, never breaking it, and then just a couple hours ago started to push back down. We had this last point of demand that we've already broken. We've broken this to the downside. So if we look at this range, again, what I would like to see, this low go, maybe a pullback into either a flip zone that's created towards the bottom, or maybe a pullback to extreme, and then thereafter I'll look for shorts to take it down a little further. So again, our supply is going to be in this area. But it's difficult to give targets because on the left we don't have any particular areas to target. So I'll probably just target a certain number of R, where I start to take profits off of. Probably something like 5R will probably be a good area where I'll look out to take a significant amount of trades. So this right now is the more likely scenario that I'm looking for. If we wanted to go for a bigger pullback, I think we would have saw it last night. Usually what happens overnight when we want to have a bigger pullback is we start to show signs of strength, and then eventually start breaking supply zones, maybe have a retest, and then after that start to push up for a bigger pullback. But we haven't seen anything like that up to now. We haven't broken any significant levels. So there is still the possibility that we do break this level, maybe come back down, test, push up a little more, and come up for a deeper pullback. This is something that I will also be watching for, but as of right now we haven't seen anything like that yet. We haven't seen any significant levels broken, so I'll be keeping my eye more on this scenario to see if we can break the lows during Frankfurt Open, or maybe even a pullback into the supply. If we get a pullback into the supply, we've already broke the last point of demand on the 15-minute. I may start to look for entries for short even here. And see if this supply can hold. I mean, if we get some kind of entry criteria created, some confirmations for entries, then I'll very likely start to look for shorts in this area, and then see if we can get a further break to the downside. And if we break this low, then I'll be pretty confident that we're going to come down lower. But like I said, it's really tough to determine targets, because on the left we have nothing to go on. So I'll be basing my targets not on structure today, but more on our. So anyways, that's what I'm seeing, at least for Europe for now. There is potential to go down even further during the London session, but again, I'm not so sure it's going to continue once we get into New York. Not sure if the PMI will reverse the price. Very likely, but definitely FOMC. We'll see a lot of whipsaws, and at that time there is a potential for the price after the whipsaws to continue to the upside. But let's talk about that a little later. Let's see what London gives to us, and then I'll come back for New York, and based on the price action that we've seen up to that point, we can see if we can get some better ideas on what to expect for New York. Well, that's it for me for this video. Like I said before, for now my bias is more to the downside than it is to the upside. Let's see how price action plays out. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen for this session. Drop a comment below, and if you found value in this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any videos in the future. And I'll see you guys later for New York session analysis, and good luck trading today. Peace.